Well, welcome. Another Skilled Trades episode here with Rob and Luke. We're in the carpentry shop. This is the first one we've done virtually. We really missed seeing your guys' faces in here this year, but today we're going over basic tools for building construction here in the carpentry shop at Durham College. Once again, my name is Luke.
I'm Rob. Again, welcome to Durham College virtual tour, and I hope everybody's safe. But we're ready to go. We got all kinds of stuff here, lots of things to show you. But number one, we got to talk about safety. Go ahead, Luke.
First of all,
start off with safety.
PPE, safety glasses, hard hat, and boots. Pretty well your most standard three pieces, I would say, in construction.
Very important when you're getting boots. That little triangle there. CSA approved. Any job site, you have safety inspector come around, they're looking for boots with the green patch. So make sure when you're buying your safety boots, got the green patch.
Your hard hat, anything working up above your head. There's a full brim, front brim. Just make sure they're worn properly. They're gonna save your life and keep you working as long as possible.
Right now, we're in the pandemic mode here. Everybody's wearing a mask. That's not a bad thing in the shop. When we're cutting wood, we've got fine particles of dust. When you're working with drywall, you've got dust. So you know what? We would be wearing a mask anyway. So mask is a good thing to have. Hand protection. You're dealing with wood, slivers. You always want to make sure your hands are protected. Again, when you're using some power tools, maybe you want to not be wearing gloves, but certainly handling material, gloves will help. We've got ear muffs there for hearing protection. Tools are loud. We're going to be cranking up a circular saw. We're going to use an air nailer. These are all tools that create quite a bit of noise. Earplugs that go in your ear. Those are great too. You can take them in and out, put them in your pocket when you don't need them. What else have we got? I think we've covered most of the safety items there.
And another thing, most important, safety-wise, it's not personal protective equipment, but 1 in 4 accidents in the workplace are due to poor housekeeping. So always keep your workspace clean. Everybody wants to be afraid to use a broom, but keep your workshop clean, eliminate the hazards, and it'll make your day go a lot better at the end too, because you'll have a little bit less cleaning.
And if you think sweeping the floor is below you, then you need to rethink it, because it's very important. Chunks of wood on little pieces on the floor from miter saws or cutting up with the circular saw, those are ankle killers. You twist your ankle, you're off work, you might not be getting paid. So again, that's a real important thing. Keep your work area clean so you don't have an accident or someone else doesn't have an accident.
Safety, number 1 priority on the job site.
Absolutely.
Protect your head, your ears, your eyes, your feet.
Yep,
And keep your area safe.
It's going home at the end of the day without an injury. I've been in the trades for a very long time, let's say getting close to 40 years, and I've never had a lost time injury, touch wood. I'm not saying I never got hurt, but I've never had a lost time injury, so very important. You always want to go home at the end of the day, think about what you're doing, how you're using the tools. So, all right, let's get into it.
All right, we've gone over the safety equipment. We're going to set this off to the side. We're going to go over your basic tool kit, which some may carry around an apron, a pouch, nail bag, whatever you want to call it. But all your basic tools are going to essentially fit in here to get you into the trade and get you working. I would buy one of these first and foremost and start building your kit. So what's the most important piece, Rob?
Oh geez, tape measure, I think, because before you do any job, you usually have to measure out what you're gonna cut, where you're gonna put some screws in. So let's start talking about some tools, because there's a lot of different measuring devices that we use in the trade. Not just carpentry, welding, plumbing, all those, you've got to measure stuff. So your most useful one, the thing you're going to use the most, is your tape measure. I'm running in imperial measurements. That's how that's my first go-to when I'm measuring. Metric is totally fine, but if you're using metric, it's best to get a tape measure that's in metric and you're not doing the conversions, because that's when mistakes happen. So this is an imperial only, but again, metrics, that's what a lot of drawings are now. Get a metric tape measure so you're not doing conversions. I'm going to show you a quick trick here, how fun, if you're at a party, things you can do with a tape measure. So what we're going to do, if you pull the tape measure out to 121, because we're in 2021, and if I put the end of the tape on 21, and I go down here and look for my age, whoa, I'm way down here. I'm going to be 59 this year, and it tells me I was born in 1962. So there's a fun little game you can play with a tape measure. It's the life of the party for sure. So your number one tool when you're setting up your toolkit, buy a nice tape measure and learn how to read it. Know your fractions. You should be able to read it just like that. Second tool, very useful, combination square. So 90 degrees, we know that's 90 degrees, so if we're making a straight cut, we can do that. 45 degrees, we want to make a 45 degree cut, we know we can do that. We've got our level, another very important tool in the shop or at home. You're putting a picture on the wall, you want to make sure it's level. Nothing worse than a picture that's on the wall that's crooked. And the last thing, there's usually a little scriber in here, but this one seems to be missing. So you usually have a little device that you can make a line with. So combination square or pencil works great.
Since we're still on the topic of measuring devices, I'm going to go over, this is called a speed square, and this is a framing square. In basic construction, they're very good tools for not only laying out a project, but scribing straight lines. Well, this is a good layout tool for basic construction, using the rafter tables for certain variables for measurements to keep you away from doing all the math all the time. It's a very versatile tool. Straight lines, braces, 45s, 90s, and it can also be used.
Could you use it for laying out stairs?
You can also use it for laying out stairs.
Stair stringers. And there we go.
Most stairs, 90 degree, rise and run, or in this case it's run and rise this way. But just another simple tool, you can make yourself a set of stairs.
Oh, here's another handy tool. Anyone cut a piece of plywood or drywall, trying to cut a straight line on a piece of material 48 inches wide, gets a little tricky to make a straight line. You can use our T-square, lay it on your material, line up with the edge, and we can measure this way and draw our lines. So that's a handy tool. And our last tool we'll talk about here for measuring and the technical end of laying things out is our level. Everything needs to be level when you're building something. You got to start at the bottom, make sure it's all level, so when you get to the top. So we can, check this and check that. So again, level, pretty valuable tool in the when you're building something.
Moving on, okay. We got our tape measures in the pouch. We got a speed square that goes in. We need something that goes right here. How about we go with the hammer? I'm sure everybody knows what this is. Yes, hammer, driving fasteners. What kind of fasteners, Rob?
We got Ardox here. We've got galvanized and non-galvanized. Galvanized, outside, wet environments. Building a deck, that's where we use these. Interior, don't really need to be galvanized, so we can go with the non-galvanized. Ardox nails got the twist. They twist as they go in. They don't like to come back out. So 3.5, 3.25 here. So again, lots of different sizes depending on what you're doing. So get the proper nail for the proper job.
Hammer, driving nails only. Also has a curved claw on this for pulling nails out. Also can be used for prying stuff apart. There's also a variety of crowbars and everything else that can replace this if you need a little bit more leverage, but very versatile in your pouch.
What's one of the dangers of that Luca hammer? Yeah, I might have hit my thumb a few times. I hit my thumb one time, and a bad choice, I threw the hammer onto the ground. Bounced up off the ground and smashed the window in the back of our car. So again, be careful when you use a hammer.
Hit the right nail.
All right, what else have we got here? Just talking about nails. We got what we call framing nailer. So you're doing a little job, you might use the manual nailing device there. But if you're doing construction and you got a lot of 2x4s that have to be nailed in, you're going to maybe go with something like this. So this, we load this up with the nails. Instead of them being individual, they come on a strip like this. You got to have them pointed in the right direction. They drop into here, and then we load like that. So this is a pneumatic tool, which means it runs on air. So we need a compressor. So a little later on, we're going to show you how it actually works. But again, another one of those tools, great tool. It's not a gun. We can show you videos and pictures of people with nails sticking out all kinds of body parts when they use it improperly. So again, great tool, but treat it with respect.
Yep. Prime example of a tool where safety glasses are very important.
Absolutely. These don't always go perfect. You get what's called a ricochet. Maybe it missed the wood, it shoots off the side, hits the concrete floor, it can bounce up in your eyes. So yeah, safety glasses, very important as always.
Moving on from nails, we're getting into screws, drills, drivers of all various shapes and sizes. This drill for drilling holes, making holes in all products, wood, masonry, metal. I think we've got them all covered.
Yeah. Oh, we got something too when we're drilling holes in wood. Sometimes we want to make bigger holes. This is what we call a spade bit. You know, and you go up to 1.5 inches even.
Yeah.
Just a quick way to drill a hole through a piece of wood. Maybe we're putting a piece of PVC pipe through, ABS pipe for plumbing. We would drill, you know, 1.5 inch hole to make that work. Again, back to the driver. So there's nothing in the end of it. So we've got to put bits in to use the driver, and then we will get our screws. Proper one in. So we've got some people call them a star, the correct name's a Phillips. This one is a square. The correct name for that is a Robertson bit. The screws we have here, one is a Phillips, so I got a Phillips bit. He's going to drill a pilot hole. A lot of times we pilot the hole. It prevents the wood from cracking if we're close to an edge. So he's piloted the hole, and then I would put the screw in. And there we go. Just flush below the surface, and that's what you're looking for. You don't want to drive it all the way in there. So that's a couple more tools. I guess the one last tool we could talk about, very important on the carpentry job site, is the old circular saw. Again, we can use that for ripping our plywood, use our T-square here to make a straight line, and then use the circular saw to cut the plywood up. We can drop the blade down. We can cut 2x4s, 2x6, 2x8, 2x10 with the saw. Very versatile. We can cut it on an angle if we needed to. There's a scale on the front there if we want to set it to 45, depending on what we're doing. So again, another great tool. Very dangerous if it's not used properly. We've got the lower blade guard here, very important that you check that before you use the saw. That thing has to flip back into place once this cut's done. If it doesn't, and you bring the saw down, there's a good chance you can cut yourself in the leg. That'd be pretty serious. So again, circular saw, another tool that very important on the job site. Where are we going now, Luke?
We're going to take you over and show you where some of these tools have been put into place and show you some of the work that you can be a part of with just these tools on the table.
There you go.
All right, we're here in the bedroom of the house here in the carpentry shop. I'm just going to give you a little demonstration of a rough window opening. And we got a demo here with a little window schematic in it as well. And I'm going to show you how it's nailed together. We have our king stud which runs from here all the way up to our beam, which supports the ceiling or your roof assembly. The jack supports your window sill, and these small ones underneath are your cripple studs. So your window will go in this rough opening, nailed together properly. I'll give you a demonstration. But from the inside, that's what a window opening should look like. And that's it from the outside. We got our Tyvek, we got our flex tape for waterproofing. So once the window is flashed, it cannot leak. So the conventional way, the nails, set it, get your hand out of the way, and finish it. Or in construction, you'll see a nailer. Now we're in here, just outside the bathroom of the house. They've started to drywall it, as you can see. I'm just gonna show you some fasteners used for drywall. There's really only two, nails and screws. But we have a coarse thread and a fine thread screw, number 6 bugle tip, put in with a Phillips. And when you put them in, you put them in just so the head sinks into the drywall, so then they can mud over it. And then it's ready for paint. Okay, we're in here in one of our students' roof assembly projects. Small scale models we do in here in the college teaching roof framing, where this baby right here, the skill saw that we talked about earlier, the circular saw, is used the most. Just a basic layout, we got our ridge, which is the top, the very high point of your roof, common rafters, the ridge I said, the valley, your valley jack rafters, and everything else in here underneath would be your house walls, exterior, interior walls. Where all your skill saw cuts will be are all on your plumb cuts, here, here, and here. On your valley jacks, the valley itself, we have an arrowhead double cheek cut, and then on your jacks, we have a single cheek cut, and that's where you'll get your angle cuts and your bevels where the fence moves on the saw.
Okay, this is another piece of equipment that you're going to find in a carpenter shop or even on a job site. They have smaller ones. This is called a table saw. So we lift up the guard here, there's a blade. Again, another dangerous tool. Got to treat it with respect, but this particular one's kind of special. This one has a system built in. If something was to happen, your finger was to come in contact with the blade would automatically stop and drop down below the table. So there's no way to cut your finger off. So again, very safe saw. Not going to be a lot of them out on the job site, but we have one here. So table saw. As we talked about with the circular saw, you can rip material with that. We can rip plywood with this a little bit easier. So I'm just going to show you how we can rip a piece of plywood. This is called a fence. So I would use my trusty tape measure. If I wanted to cut a 4-inch piece, I would measure over, let's go 5 inches, right there. And I lock my fence down into place. Got my material, my start button's right here. I want to stand off to the side. We don't want, if the material was to jam or bind, we could get kickback, so I always try to stand off to the side. And I'm going to use my push stick to push it through. There we go. That's how we cut on a table saw. All right, so this is the last tool we're going to talk about, and this is what we call a sliding compound miter saw. Slides back and forth. We can set the angle this way, 45, but we can also turn the saw this way. If you're doing crown molding, that's where that really would come into play. You've got some complex angles when you're doing crown molding. For our purposes, we're going to cut our material we ripped on the saw. You just want to cut it at a 45 on the end there. So I've got my table set at 45. I don't really want it to slide because I've got a real narrow piece. So it's best to not have it slide. So I set the lock. I'll slide my material in. going to work. I'm holding the material with my hand. Then it's on. And then we cut it at 45.
Well, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully Rob and I answered some of your questions, give you some insight on basic building construction here at the college. We hope everybody is playing safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you guys soon, hopefully here, right here.
That's right. We offer more than just carpentry, so if there's other courses you're interested in, maybe welding, maybe plumbing, don't hesitate to look at the site. And thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. We certainly had fun. Can't wait till next year. Hopefully you guys will be here face to face, and we can do it all over again. So if you have any questions, certainly don't hesitate to send them in. And that's it. We're done.
Perfect. Thanks.